Welcome into another edition of Sport Ball with Squam, Stogie, and Skalldog. I'm your boy Sam. With me, as always, are these two just pinnacles of human evolution, Seth and Kyle. What's up, boys?
You should introduce us like that all the time.
Instead of calling us dick tricklets or whatever the hell you call us.
That sounds like a candy. No,
My favorite kind of candy.
I just wanted to bring you up so I could push you back down. That's how to be a leader.
Yeah, you build us up.
That's what every good host does.
That's what Kyrie Irving does. So too soon. So this is actually the podcast that everyone
asked for. No.
Everyone in America has been clamoring for. You know, people come up to me on the daily on the street. They say, "Hey, when's the next episode?" And actually,
what do you tell them?
I tell them, sir, this isn't a street. This is my home.
Stop clamoring.
And also, I don't know if you saw, but on the front page of the New York Times, it read, when's the next podcast?
What did it green, though?
Nice one, dude.
Thank you.
All right,
Dad
so
jokes galore tonight, I feel it.
Of course. I mean, it's late. We're tired. It's 10:14 p.m.
Speak for yourself. It's 11:14 Eastern.
I was speaking for myself.
Okay.
So this podcast, we want to touch on March Madness and the NFL and MLB. It's a big spring blowout podcast. We'll say that much. And Seth, are you watching an NBA game currently or what?
I forgot NBA was even a thing.
Well, I would be, but I don't have my computer to watch it on because the battery died and my charger's at my car, and my car is parked at my work. So kind of a double whammy there. So I suppose I could be watching on my phone, but there aren't any good games. I watched the Thunder Pacers game earlier.
Paul George dropped 30 Juan.
30 Juan?
He didn't really look. I still don't feel like he is looking like himself yet. I
think he's still dealing. I think that injury is still like nagging him, his shoulder.
Or whatever,
Who does he look like, Seth, if he doesn't look like himself?
Yusuf Nurkic?
God,
Too soon, dude.
We'll get to that later, folks.
Wow, a little tease. You're such a tease, baby. So put the kids to bed, by the way. Let's just say that right now. Because
it's 11:14, no holds bar. We're going off the rails.
If a single hold is barred, I'll send it back. Also, do you think the phrase nip it in the bud is kind of weird?
Yeah, I don't know what it's in reference to.
Isn't it in reference to like pruning plants?
Germinating plants?
Oh.
Put the kids to bed.
You know when you prune a plant, you have to like clip off the broken or the dead branches or
Sam
like
knows
the
better than us
rotting
all.
leaves
He
and
took
whatever.
a class in college.
That's
so
true.
you nip it in the bud in the very like base of it. Then you're like getting it out of the way early. That's what I always thought.
I took horticulture 105, so I know everything there is to know about vegetable gardening. I did miss a midterm because I didn't attend class that day, and it just happened to be
Was that the bud nipping midterm?
Yeah. I always thought it was nip it in the butt.
Certainly not.
No.
Which makes a lot more sense in my mind.
It's like I watched the episode of New Girl today when Nick gets money from his deceased father's estate. And then Winston tries to get him to give him his money back. And he's like, as soon as a man gets money, everyone comes out of the woodward looking for money. Winston's like, Woodward? It's Woodward. It's woodwork. Woodwork.
Who's your favorite New Girl character?
Ooh.
Oh, Winston.
Hart.
I would say Winston or Nick, probably.
See,
is
I'm up there. I got Schmidt.
Yeah, Seth hates him because he's an asshole, but
he's hysterical.
Anyone in the world's favorite character?
Sure.
Yeah, is anyone in the world's favorite character Jess or no?
I'm sure there are some.
Maybe her parents.
Mr. and Mrs. Deschanel.
All right, should we talk sports or should we fuck around, boys?
Is that what this podcast is about?
Well, maybe not this particular one. So first we want to talk about March Madness.
It's March, baby.
So reaction to the first weekend here. I was a little disappointed in the lack of upsets because that's what I'm in it for, really. Most of the 1 through 4 seeds went through except for
every
12
single
seeded
1 through
Oregon
3 seed is in the Sweet 16.
and 2 of 4s, right? And then there's a 5 and a 12. And even though Oregon's at 12, it doesn't feel like a Cinderella or anything because it's such a big school, which is kind of disappointing. Like I would have preferred the Anteaters from UC Irvine to make
Don't
it
get me started on the Anteaters. I swear to God.
I fucking love them, dude.
They fucked me over hard. We'll get to that.
Well, we can get to that now if you want. Do you want to just rant now or
let's
later?
Just start. We might as well. Anything crazy in the round of 64?
Are you asking me if anything crazy happened?
No, I was just asking if there's anything crazy that you'd like to talk about in the round of 64.
Well,
I know you probably didn't watch every single game like I did, but
I gotta say I watched more than one could have wanted me to at work. But I actually had UC Irvine and Oregon. I had that game happening, but then I picked Oregon for some reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, I picked UC Irvine. Oregon would have been good.
Yeah, I had that game.
Well, you gotta pick the Anteaters.
Yeah, I just feel like don't you feel like the top seeds are just really good this year, like more than normal?
That, yeah, and I thought a lot of like the mid seeds from like 5 to like 13, they were kind of like out of whack. Mm-hmm. Like some of those seeds should have been like Cincinnati's better than a 7 seed. Granted, they lost to Iowa. God knows how. They were better than a 7 seed in my opinion. But once Kansas State, once I saw that their best player wasn't going to play, UC Irvine, you had to go with the Anteaters. Go ahead.
So my team was Wofford, man, going in because I knew they had a player named Fletcher McGee, which
AKA
Fletcher incredible McThree. Name. AKA Fletcher McThree, which we're coining now. And he was like the all-time three-point leader in Division I history. And yet, against Kentucky, he went 0 for 12.
Dude, and they lost by 6. And oh, my God.
If he had hit just like 2 threes, they would have won. I can't believe they were even that close without him hitting that many threes.
Yeah, that's wild.
They got Cam Jackson down low, though, due to force.
Former Glenbard East current Glenbard East graduate, former Glenbard East player, Lee Skinner played for Wofford back in the day.
Yeah. They were in the tournament our like sophomore year. Lee was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Glenbard East basketball. Sam, didn't you try out once?
Yeah, I did. Did I?
Freshman year.
I did freshman year. Yeah. I was like 5'2" soaking wet though.
I know.
And I couldn't jump over a piece of paper. Now I'm 5'8" and I can't jump over a piece of paper.
Soaking wet.
I'm still soaking wet, keep in mind. What do you guys think? What do you have moving forward? Let's just say you can pick any Final Four you want, even going against your bracket. Would you change anything?
Oh, why would I go against my bracket? I mean, I have Syracuse in there, so. Well, I mean, you got to go with the Volunteers. That seems like a foregone conclusion at this point.
And Sam loves them because of their 2 guards.
I really have no idea what's going to happen. I watched maybe like 1.5 games of college basketball before March Madness started. So,
rookie mistake.
I just don't care about it that much. But I'm liking Tennessee. My Final Four that I picked for the bracket is Tennessee, North Carolina, Syracuse, Duke. So I've got 3 out of the 4 still alive. But that is the lone bright spot in my bracket. I'm in the 14th percentile.
The one thing that concerns me with Tennessee is I think their coach is just stupid.
Yeah, he left Admiral Schofield. First of all, greatest name in basketball, maybe
up there for sure. It's up there.
He left him out. He had 4 fouls, and I understand leaving him out at the end of the game if you think it's going to go into overtime. But then why not put him in like halfway through overtime? Because
not even that. Dude, you put him in there for the final shot of the game. He's your best player.
That was
he had him
crazy.
On the bench. Not just that, like that entire second half, like the way Tennessee plays in the first half of games, they're up tempo. They always play great defense, but they're an up tempo team. They're not a team to sit in the half court and then take 16 seconds off the shot clock and then try to force something up at the end. And once they had almost 20-point lead going into half, that's what he decided to do. He just decided to switch up the entire game plan. It was like, do what your team does best. What are you doing?
Right.
That's what makes me nervous against Purdue. I didn't realize I was looking at some stats. Purdue is like one of like the better teams this year. And I mean, being in Indiana, you would think I would know that, but all I heard was them shitting on Purdue and IU on the Indiana Sports Talk. So I just didn't think anything of it. I mean, Carson Edwards is a G. He dropped 42 the other night. So
yeah.
But it makes me nervous against Tennessee. If they're gonna, if he's dumb enough to do something like that, I don't know what they're gonna do against Purdue.
I think that's gonna be the best game of the weekend, or best game of the Sweet 16.
I don't know, dude. North Carolina Auburn is what really
that's gonna be good too. Yeah.
Both of those teams, if they get hot from three, you're gonna see like a 90-something to 85 game. It's gonna be crazy.
I have Auburn in that game, so I'm hoping they just turn the ball over a lot, or they force Carolina into a bunch of turnovers. And
boy, Cam Jackson on North Carolina.
Out.
He's a shooter.
But the thing about North Carolina is like, isn't their best player or one of their best players, PJ Washington? He might still be out for this game, right?
That's Kentucky.
Of course.
Yeah. Playing Houston. I have Houston in my Final Four.
I didn't know anything about them, and I just want them
in the Elite Eight.
So that side of the bracket, that's where I had Iowa State in the Final Four. So now I need a new team to root for.
It's Houston. It's for sure Houston.
Okay, I'll start rooting for Houston. Starting now.
Yeah, they got CDJ on their dude's a stud. Actually, his name's Corey Davis Jr. They got a lot of juniors. Their starting lineup is Corey Davis Jr., Galen Robinson Jr., and Fabian White Jr. And then just two other guys.
That's a huge upper hand.
I know. You got three players that are also half a man, an extra half a man.
If you think about it,
playing up another man and a half.
You have an extra 3 halves man.
Dude, any of you guys? How can you possibly scheme against that type of team? Come on.
Do any of you guys not have Duke in your Final Four?
I have them losing this weekend.
So yes.
So let me tell you how pissed I was when UCF blew the 3 easiest plays of probably Dawkins' college career.
Honestly, just rant for me, Kyle. Give it to me straight.
I've been waiting.
I'm gonna sit back and relax.
So even before they had a 4-point lead, right? And there's a fast break. Dawkins leading the fast break, and he tries to toss up an oop for like a slam play, to just like silence the crowd and like seal the deal. Buffed it completely, just whiffed. Okay, that's fine. I mean, there's still a minute left. You're up 4 still. Don't let them hit a 3. Don't foul. What do? They give up a 3 to one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in college basketball, mind you, who shot like 42%, which is a lot better than they ever shoot. And then there's you got Zion at the line, right, to tie it up.
And before that, Zion missed the 3, and they got the offensive rebound.
Yeah, they didn't box out.
So if they get that rebound.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. And then when Zion's at the line, he misses that free throw, and there is a blatant push on R.J. Barrett that's not called. And obviously he gets the rebound because when you're pushing someone to separate yourself 1.5 feet from him, it's pretty easy to grab it. They do that, and then they go down. Beautiful play. Should be an easy game winner. Not just that, they miss. Okay. Dawkins has a putback that I guarantee he makes 99 out of 100 times. And it was the 1 out of that 100 time that he missed.
It touched every part of the rim.
My stomach.
I was just so sad for them. Like, I didn't really care which team won, and my bracket's worthless shit anyways. But I just felt so bad for that team and how like heartbreaking the loss. Even
afterwards, I watched a little interview they did with Krzyzewski, and he was like, "They should have won that game. We got lucky." No shit. I texted you about that
right after that. He's like, "I just feel sorry for them. Like they deserve to win that game." I was like, "Yeah,
dude." And, that was one of the.
They had the perfect strategy too. The way they
game
played.
Plan. I was just about to say it was incredible. It was impeccable.
Now it's easier to do when you have a 7'6" guy who can guard the rim. But basically,
but at the same time, he's not as versatile as a defender. That was one of the smartest things they did mid-game is when freaking Jesus Christ, why am I drawing a blank? His name
Jesus
is
Christ plays for UCF.
That's why they had such a good game plan.
Trey Jones. Dude couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, so they were just like, okay,
Just
Taco, live in the paint. You're gonna guard man on Trey Jones. He gets the ball at the 3-point line. Let him shoot. He can't hit. That was like one of the smartest in-game adjustments I think I've ever seen for a college basketball team to be like, this guy's cold. We're not even gonna worry about him. He's not one of the.
Yeah, they just packed the paint and left everyone open for three because they knew that Duke was such a poor 3-point shooting. Like, especially their non-star players didn't even pay attention to them.
No,
and they like just doubled Zion and RJ every time, basically.
Zion went nuts. I'm not gonna lie, he went nuts. He also probably should have fouled out. Refs are very baby that guy a lot. I'm a big Zion fan, trust me, but
yeah,
he could have definitely got called for 5 fouls in that game. But
well, it's hard to officiate a Zion because he's like 300 pounds and B Taco Fall because he's 7'6". Like, it just seems. I think they call a lot of fouls on Taco that weren't really fouls, but it's like really hard to officiate him because he's a tree trunk.
Yeah, definitely. So this leads me to my next point. So one, like I said, I really wish UCF won that game because I had Duke losing this upcoming round anyways, and I was just like, good, get all the Duke people that picked them to win the champions out of the bracket. I don't even have to worry about them. But so now we go on to Virginia Tech, which honestly, one, they just saw the best blueprint on how to beat Duke. Obviously, they beat Duke earlier this year. Zion wasn't playing, so
it's basically like beating a team with me without me. Then,
yeah, that's exactly it. So take that with a grain of salt. But Virginia Tech also didn't have Judson Robinson for that game, who is one of their better players. So I was looking at stats, obviously. You know how I do.
You know him.
Yeah. So UCF, defensively, right? They are 40th in 3-point percentage. And where are we at? Virginia Tech, 63rd. So they defend the three a little worse, right? They give up the three a lot more, though, because that's their entire game plan. Like, it's not just for Duke. That's just how they play. They pack the paint, and they make sure that all you do is shoot threes. They don't care. Like, if you're going to hit your threes, you're going to hit your threes. Because to them, they're 11th in the nation in their 3-point percentage. So they can keep up if that's the point, or if that's the case. They make opposing teams shoot farther away from the basket on average than any other team in the NCAA does. UCF, 69th. Okay? Yeah.
Take that as you will. It's a nice number. I'll say that.
That's the thing. They're gonna do
kids to bed.
They're gonna put the same exact game plan into play with what I think better athletes. Like, obviously Taco's 8'3" or whatever the hell he is. So they're not gonna have someone in the paint like that, but they are gonna have Kerry Blackshear in the paint.
You made that name up. Don't lie to me.
No. Junior, by the way, so a man and a half. Basically a Taco Fall, right? Yeah, I just think that they basically play all year the same way that UCF played that one game against Duke, and they do it at a much more efficient rate. And if Duke's going to go out and shoot 45% from three, which they literally never do, they average, like, I think 30% from three.
Yeah, they're ass.
32. Yeah, 32%. They're 245th in the nation from three. Let them shoot threes. They can't do it. Zion, I don't think he's taken 7 threes again like he did last game.
I hear what you're saying. I think it's going to be a really good matchup, but I'm just not going to bet against Zion.
Yeah,
sometimes he just looks like a man among boys out there. It's like, is he even in the same league? Like, this is a clear case for someone like going straight out of high school because he was obviously ready.
For sure.
Yeah.
He's a stud. Right. That's no doubt. You know, that also brings up the point. Obviously, he's hands down the number 1 pick in the draft. If Zion did go straight out of high school, though, there'd be no discussion that Ja Morant is the number 1 pick in the draft this year. Right?
He seems to be the.
Wait, are you saying if Ja went out of high school too?
No. I'm saying if Zion, instead of going to Duke this year, just went straight into the NBA.
Oh, and he was
Ja
drafted
Morant
last year.
would be hands down the number 1 pick in the NBA draft this year.
I would think so. I would pick him second. His passing ability is incredible.
He's got to be smarter than 50% of current NBA players when it comes to controlling an offense.
Is he a 2 in college or is he a 1? He's a 1 already. He seems big.
He is kind of big, but
that's good though. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and he shoots the 3 really well, as you saw in the round of 32. He was basically the whole offense. I think he shot like 5 for 7 from 3. He's what kept them in it in the first half.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch those two play.
Bro, his court vision's insane.
Yeah.
That man, literally, he takes the ball, and the first thing he does is look up court once he grabs a rebound from underneath the basket on the other end.
I usually look at my shoes first to make sure they're still tied, and then
I think a lot of players do that. I do that.
Should we move on? Because
I ran.
You don't know anything about college basketball, so.
Thanks for letting me rant. I needed this.
I mean, Kyle does, yeah. Do you feel better, Kyle? Do you feel like there's a load off your shoulders? Because there's going to be a load on your shoulders later. I'll tell you that.
Heyo.
I tried to rant. Megan was like, it's just a game during the Duke UCF game. I said, you don't understand the implications of this game.
The implications.
I have millions of dollars on this game.
Sam, what are your final 4?
Mine in my bracket was Duke, Tennessee, Iowa State. Let me just say something. Iowa State lost to Ohio State. I didn't really watch that game. I watched Ohio State play against Houston. They have maybe 5. No, let me take that back. They have 0 college level players. What was that they put out there? Okay, that's something I'd see in my work rec league. Yeah, I didn't even know who these players are. They can't even dribble. Anyway, so I don't know how Iowa State lost to them. But
Ohio State, they got one good player, at least.
No, not that I saw. I'll tell you that.
His name's Caleb Wesson. Yeah, he ate down low against.
They might as well have had 5 Sam Scullys out there. No, I'm sorry. That would be
he had.
They would be.
Against Iowa State, Caleb Wesson had 21-12 and 2 assists and 2 steals. Yeah,
21 points that he basically fell into the rim. Anyway, so Houston's my new team from there because Kyle said I should cheer for them. And then who was the other one? Oh, and I have Michigan, which I kind of like their little point guard guy. Watching him play, it's kind of fun. He's got that pick and roll with that big white boy.
Michigan, yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but I don't know any of their names, so it doesn't matter. And I have Duke, Tennessee in the finals, so I'm still rolling with that.
Duke, Tennessee in the finals. You got Tennessee winning it too, don't you?
Yeah, because Admiral Schofield is that boy. Also, it takes guts to name your kid Admiral because if he's not great at something, then
he's a general at best.
Generally speaking.
Better or worse than an admiral, I have no clue.
I don't know.
You also love them because of their pregame, the guards' pregame ritual. Would you like to enlighten?
They play Settlers of Catan before every game. So they're my boys now. Yeah.
Which were the 2 players who do that?
Isn't it like Bone and whatever?
Yeah, it
doesn't matter. We don't know their names.
Yeah, let's be honest. I just shot with Bones for some reason.
I think, you're right. It's Bone and it's Lamonte Turner and Bone.
Yeah.
Turner.
Oh wait, it might be Admiral. It's one. It's 2 of those 3.
It's either the Admiral or the General.
It might be Admiral.
Okay, can we fucking move on already? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we budgeted 15 minutes for this, and it's been 32.
Speaking of Jesus Christ, did you see him playing that UCF game? Jesus, incredible.
Christ.
All right, let's move on to the NFL free agent frenzy. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is a trade, not free agency, but I wanted to do the alliteration anyway. Odell Beckham Jr., some might call him a wide receiver and a half. He's he was traded to the Cleveland Browns from the New York Giants in return for 2 first-round picks, I believe. 1 in this year's draft and then 1 in the 2020 draft. And also, why can't I think that safety's name? Or defensive back that they got in return. Kyle,
I'm looking up something.
Please.
Hold on.
Well, look up what I need you to look up. Anyway, they got a good young defensive back in return. Seth, what are your thoughts on this trade?
it seemed like the Giants were just done with like all
Jabril
of
Peppers.
Jabril Peppers, thank you.
Oh man, Jabril. It seemed like the Giants were just done with all of the antics. Although I don't really understand what has been coming from the Giants team recently with like doubling down on Eli and then getting rid of Odell. Like I feel like I would just want to get a new young quarterback and build around him, Odell and Saquon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seems like a good recipe for winning offense. But I mean, I'm excited for the Browns. I think their offense is going to take a step forward this year. You know, they already made great strides relative to the Browns of previous years last year. So it's pretty exciting I think we're all thinking that Cleveland will be a playoff team again, finally. So
Hands
I mean,
down.
that's just
Yeah, I think
exciting in itself.
it was curious to me. Like it seemed like okay, the Giants they're just foregoing the next like 3 seasons, just getting a lot of draft picks, trying to build up,
Right.
and like while I wouldn't have traded OBJ, like I can kind of see a strategy there. But then they also
no
grabbed
strategy.
Golden Tate for some reason,
Another slot receiver on a team that already has a slot receiver.
So it doesn't really make sense to me because when the general manager had an interesting interview about it where he was like, "Well, this was purely a business decision, nothing to do with Odell's personality. We just got an offer we couldn't refuse." And it's like you got a mid-round first pick and a defensive end for like one of the best wide receivers in the league, and you're like, "Well, I can't refuse that." What is that? I mean, it has to have been more about his antics, I feel like. And in my mind, I don't mind his antics because I feel like there's no off the field stuff with him really, right?
Yeah,
And
what
he gets
antics?
he gets frustrated in the game sometimes, but it all comes from competitiveness. I feel like he just wants to win. That's the kind of player that I feel like I could channel that energy into something positive, and it's just like a shame that they couldn't really work with him at all. Like if OBJ came to me and I was like the general manager of the New York Giants, which I am. I'm just speaking
OBJ has come
from
to you many
experience.
times.
Yeah, I'm speaking from experience. And he's like, "Well, I'm a little unhappy, like with how the direction of the team. I'm a little happy here. I would like be like, I'll do anything to like repair this relationship. Like, let's work together." But that doesn't seem like what they did. It kind of reminded me of like the Kristaps situation at the other New York team. Tough to be a New York fan right now. You just lost your 2 franchise players for almost no reason.
Hey, but they got D'Angelo Russell, baby.
That's Brooklyn though, so
that's New York though.
Of course,
it's in New York.
So I would be a little frustrated if I was a Giants fan because it doesn't seem like they have a direction, and it doesn't seem like they needed to give him up. But on the other side, I'm on the Brown side. I am very excited to see.
Very excited.
I'm very excited to see Baker and OBJ and Jarvis all play together on offense. I think they're going to be very fun to watch. And Kyle, why don't you go ahead and tell us why they're going to win the Super Bowl this year?
First off, I had them being 500 or better last year, and if they didn't start the season with a kicker losing their first 3 games, they definitely would have.
Did you ever pay me for that bet?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like we said, Odell Beckham said he's a generational talent at wide receiver. You don't see players like him. I mean, go ahead and give up a defensive player and a mid-round draft pick for someone that's entrenched themselves as a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, you have to do it. That's a trade you can't refuse. I think that's what he was talking about.
The Browns couldn't refuse
it. The Browns had a trade they offered that they just couldn't refuse. So, I mean, I had to accept it. That's what happened.
It kind of reminded me of the Khalil Mack trade last year.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they had to do that too. But at least they're making smart moves.
Oakland?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like
this offseason, it seems like.
Yeah, because they turned Khalil into a bunch of picks, and they basically turned
we're talking about
Cooper. Let's not even talk about it. Why talk about it?
Yeah, you're right. Just leave it in the blank. I was going to finish my rant on the Browns. And
go ahead, finish your rant, baby. Tell me about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so they have the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl. The only team better right now in Vegas is Kansas City, obviously. New England, like always. The Saints and the Rams. And then you got the Cleveland Browns, baby. Finally, when I say we're going to take the Browns to the Super Bowl, we're not talking about me taking the shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, for the Giants, on the other hand, I don't know why they still invest. They said Eli Manning's their quarterback for sure this year and maybe next year too. I don't understand what they're doing. Let me read you this.
Incomprehensible.
Yeah,
Without Odell Beckham, Eli Manning averages 6.48 yards per attempt, right? Which would rank since 2014 40th out of 41 in all QBs in the NFL. The only QB with the worst yard per attempt in that span is Brock frickin' Osweiler.
Yo, Brock is great.
Go ahead and get rid of Odell though. Eli's our guy. We're gonna double down.
So I guess is this the first like? This is like the most outright tanking, I guess, that I've seen in a while in the NFL. Because if that's what they're doing, that's a great way to tank is have Eli as your quarterback. But then why even get Golden Tate? That's my only question.
Why get Golden Tate?
Or Jabril Peppers, honestly. I don't know.
It makes no sense.
Because then they're gonna my qualm, you might say. You could call it Qualm's qualm, even though it's me. Also, Seth, my dad ran into your mom twice at Mariano's in the span of 1 week. Incredible.
Your mom told me about it. Your mom. Freudian penis. I mean, Freudian slip. My mom told me about seeing your dad the one time recently, but not the other time.
They just saw each other again today.
Yeah, that's what she told me about today.
Naturally. Anyway, so Vivian and Bill aside, what was I talking about? Oh, it gives me. I have a qualm in that they're going to ruin Saquon's prime, which isn't that long for a running back. Like he might only have like 5 good years.
Running backs don't matter.
Of course, it's like the points in whose line is it anyway. And I'm worried that he's gonna languish on the Giants for like 5 years and not be able to win at all, despite him. And he's gonna be running against a stacked box every time because they have no other threats now. No other threats.
Do you realize
it really just grinds my girdles? Damn it!
The best quarterback on the Giants last year was Odell Beckham.
So they lost.
He was like a 100% completion rating and like 3 touchdowns he threw.
All right, let's move on. We're all upset, okay?
They got rid of their best wide receiver and quarterback in one. I don't get it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Move on to Oakland.
Okay, so Antonio Brown to Oakland. I like this because the price was way lower than I thought it was going to be. I know they didn't really have any leverage. The Steelers didn't because everyone knew Antonio Brown wanted to trade, but to get a third and a fifth back was much lower than I expected the price to be. So basically, Oakland turned Amari Cooper into a first-round pick and Antonio Brown, and all that to give away was a couple late-round draft picks. So I like that a lot. Derek Carr isn't the best quarterback in the league. Not the worst.
Who has he been throwing to, though?
Usually it seems like the ground.
I mean, I guess you had Amari, right? But it didn't even seem like Oakland wanted him on the field.
I'm guessing Derek Carr doesn't make it to Vegas. I mean, he's on a plane right now. I have some intel.
It's gonna get shot down. I feel like he's like a mid-level, mediocre quarterback in the NFL, like serviceable.
It's better than Eli.
Could improve. Definitely better than Eli.
Not as good as Ben, though. Ben Heyman, he's a pretty good quarterback.
Fat ass, too.
I don't know. I just feel like I know in fantasy I'm not going to be taking Antonio because I think he's going to take a dip in production with not as good of a quarterback and running back to take some of the defense away. But it is a nice addition for them. I'm not really sure if they're planning on winning this year. Because they can't win this year. It's interesting because don't you feel like maybe Antonio Brown has like 3 good years left? And are they going to win in 3 years? I don't know.
That's the thing. Antonio Brown probably has 2 or 3 very, very good years left as an outside wide receiver. But then once his body, starts finally deteriorating after all these hits and stuff, they're just going to move him to the slot, and he's still going to be a top 3-5 slot wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, he's just not going
to need to catch passes 20 yards downfield. Let him live underneath. you know?
I just hope that, his prime coincides with when they're ready to win. That's the only thing I'd be concerned about. But I think it was a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it for. It's just the craziest thing how that all went down. It was like he went into the front office and he basically convinced them, for the most part, that like he was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna leave. So if you want some to get people for me, like draft picks or something, feel free. But I'm gone either way." And they were like, "Yeah, we should get some draft picks instead of just letting him walk." He was on contract. They didn't have to do anything.
It reminds me of what's happening in the NBA. Maybe it's shifted, maybe that's kind of mentality has shifted over the NFL, where it's been much more rare for players to have this kind of power in the NFL.
Yeah.
And maybe that's changing now. Especially, I think, I don't know if this is really an important point, but I feel like with social media and stuff, they can reach a larger audience quicker and be like, hey, I want to trade. I'm doing this Instagram live right now telling you what contract I want, what I want in my new team. And everyone saw that, right? So I feel like they just get a lot more leverage because they can just reach the masses and everyone's like, oh, well, I guess they have to trade him.
He really just pulled the wool over his eyes about his own contract that the team wrote up.
Hey, kudos to him.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, definitely. Now Juju's just going to soar.
Yeah, he's going to be a monster. So it's interesting, like maybe, do you think Ben like a big catalyst for this? Because right, you had both Le'Veon and
seems like
Antonio are gone, and I've heard no positive comments about Ben from either of them or players who have left the team. All of them have negative comments about Ben. So
from what all the stuff that I've read is like he isn't held accountable for anything. Basically, his role on the team is to be the quarterback and then call out players when things don't go right, call out coaches, and the coaches end up just supporting him and being like, yeah, Ben's right, you should have done this differently. And it's like, why I wouldn't want to play for a guy like that either.
When he said he has 52 children or whatever, like that would piss me off if I was one of his teammates. Like well, we're peers. I'm not your son. Like, like that would definitely make me a little angry. And I think that's part of what pushed them off. Yeah.
Where would Big Ben be if most of his years in Pittsburgh didn't involve the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah. And I think the Steelers are backing Ben because it's harder to find another quarterback, but I mean, I don't think they're gonna see a great Ben without those two. So
Josh Rosen's available.
The chosen Rosen, you might say.
Yeah.
Why didn't the Giants just trade for Josh Rosen?
We've established the Giants are not a competent organization by any means.
You don't have
that much is clear.
You can give this project to a second grade classroom and they could run this team better.
Like, when you made those dioramas of different biomes, instead of that, you just take over the Giants franchise. Because you only have to give out probably a 3rd round pick for Rosen, it seems like. So then, hey, you don't have to use your top draft pick on a quarterback. You can draft another good player. Now you have a franchise quarterback who can learn under Eli, and by learn under Eli, I mean learn how to be the 40th out of 41st quarterbacks in the league. And then you have OBJ, your quarterback of the future, and Saquon, and you probably drafted a great defensive player like Jabril Peppers, maybe. Maybe you drafted someone like that instead of trading for him.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Doesn't sound like a good plan at all.
I don't get it either way.
Now, I am the general manager of the Giants, so you think I would have done some of these things? But
it's just crazy, like that organization all of a sudden they weren't great for the last couple of years, but they've plummeted to one of the worst, if not the worst, ran organizations in the NFL. And then in a matter of literally a year, the Colts have skyrocketed to a top 5 team just because of the hirings in their front office and their coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it should be that hard. But I think just the old people that run these sports teams are so stubborn that they don't want innovation. And people they don't realize or think that innovation's what's going to lead them to success. All they care about is we have exciting players. We're going to get money from the players, the people coming to watch. But it's like people want to see championships. People want to see exciting things happen.
Yeah.
Invest in innovation. I don't know.
That's actually the motto of our podcast. Invest in innovation.
Sport ball. Invest in innovation.
Let's move on to Le'Veon to the Jets, sticking with another Steelers move. well, kind of. He's a free agent. But what do you think about this? Does this make the Jets the second best team in the division?
No.
I still think they have a long way to go.
Or you think they're not better than the Bills?
The Bills got my guy, John Smokey Brown. Not that it's not going to push the needle, I'll tell you that right now. But
Josh Allen can't even throw past 50 yards and hit a broadside of a barn. So,
who else is in that division?
The Dolphins, who are openly tanking and signed Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback.
Great signing.
Although
he's going to have an exciting 3 to 4 wins. It's going to beat like the Patriots, the Saints, and another top 5 team, and then lose every game. It's incredible. It's the best way to tank. It's like the Bulls.
Yeah, he's gonna have like 6 4-interception games and then like 3 5-touchdown games. I can't wait.
Who else? The Bills, Dolphins, and the Patriots. Yeah, I guess they are the second best team in the division.
Especially if Darnold takes a step forward.
Which usually you typically see. I mean, he had good outings his rookie
season. I think, dare I say, I could see them like being over 500, maybe fighting for the last wild card spot.
Whoa.
I mean, who in the AFC is even good, honestly?
Are we sure that Le'Veon will come back and be what he was 2 years ago?
That's true.
Without
we don't know
offensive infrastructure around him.
No, we have no clue.
And I mean, it's also like Kyle said, running backs don't matter. I mean, they do matter to some extent, I think, but to just transform the impact or the effectiveness of a team, I don't know. I think that's a lot to ask from somebody who hasn't played in a year.
Yeah, I definitely think both Bell and Brown are going to take a step back once they're out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, when I say like running backs don't matter, I don't mean like you could take any Jamoke off the street and toss him in, but like they're not a player on your NFL team that should be paid as one of the top 3 paid people. You don't need that. You just need an athletic running back that could shoot the gap and catch a football 75% of the time. And you have, as long as you invest the money into a good offensive line, then the running back's going to be successful.
Yeah, we saw this with Damian Williams in Kansas City, right? Where 100%. We had that incident with Kareem Hunt, and Damian Williams stepped up, and their offense even got more efficient with him. And so you've kind of got to ask yourself, do I need to pay a running back, the max? Because you just don't, honestly.
But the Jets are going to draw tickets now, so draw tickets.
That's kind of what you were talking about earlier, right? Where you just want that big fish, and you think that's good. What's going to bring people to your stadium, but it's not going to lead to sustained winning necessarily.
Yeah, unless he does, look like the Le'Veon Bell of old. Darnold takes a step. I mean, they also feasible. Signed. What wide receiver did they sign to that you and I were talking about?
Dick Trickle
from Washington, right?
Oh, James Crowder.
Yeah, they signed Crowder. I think Crowder's a great addition to that too. Like they're making smart plays.
Do you say Ivan Jurgenov?
Ivan Jurgenov, yeah. That wasn't.
They're at least making smart football moves to better their franchise. I mean, Jamison Crowder is like 25 years old, 24 years old, something like that.
Listen, good slot receiver. They can be frisky, which, as you know, is my word for a team that's not very good.
The more I think about it, I'm with you. I think they could sneak into the second wild card spot in the AFC.
But I just don't think they're going to build like a dynasty around Le'Veon Bell.
No, it's not going to be around Le'Veon Bell, but for the time being,
it'll depend more on Sam Darnold's progression as a player than it will.
Who does the Bell
serviceable signing? He should be. Though I did read that he ballooned to like an insane weight while he was not doing anything.
He'll probably lose that though. It was mine. Let's hit real quick. Rosen seems like he's headed to the Cardinals, which I thought was just a rumor at first, but it seemed like that's actually going to happen.
Rosen is on the Cardinals. He's heading away from
I'm sorry. I meant Kyler Murray is going to. It seems like he's going to be drafted number 1 by the Cardinals, which is funny because they just drafted a quarterback last year. Which I don't know when this has recently happened, but basically this team is saying, we messed up. Let's just try this again. And I mean, if they can get back something good for him, it's probably fine. I think they should just wait until some team gets desperate for a quarterback and then try to get a first rounder out of him. I can't believe that Josh Rosen would get a first rounder because I was looking this up. Sam Bradford got a first rounder when he was traded to the Vikings when they're desperate for a quarterback. If Sam Bradford can get a first round pick and
anyone can.
Yeah, and Josh Rosen, a second-year player who, sure, he didn't have a great first year, but, he's young. Anything could happen. I can't believe that player wouldn't get a first-round pick.
I mean, there's all sorts of things you can look back in history of who's been traded for what, and it's doesn't make any sense, what the value of different players are. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see with quarterbacks how quickly people evaluate their talent and how quickly they give up on them. I don't know if I'm ready to give up on Rosen yet.
No, I mean, Rosen is a steal for any team that gets him for a second-round pick or a third-round pick.
Definitely.
I mean, he's going to be a better quarterback than every quarterback in this upcoming draft besides maybe two, which is Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins, and you're not giving up really anything. I mean, since high school, he's gone through almost a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new coach every single year. He's never had, what's that called? Not sustainability. He's never had consistency. He's never had consistency. And it's he had one of the worst coaches and offensive coordinators last year in Arizona. He had a guy that probably shouldn't be playing football as his right guard, allowing him to get sacked however many times he got sacked. One of the worst offensive lines in total in that NFL. It's we don't know what Josh Rosen is. We saw what production he could have when he was playing at UCLA, but put him with a coach that's going to make him, perform to the way he can. It's I don't know how teams aren't jumping on this with a second-round pick, considering I read today, it's 99.9% chance they draft Kyler Murray.
Right. It's funny because it's kind of like cars, how they just depreciate in value as soon as you drive them off. That's how it is with quarterbacks. As soon as they play their first game, they just depreciate in value. If you're paying a second-round pick for Rosen, you're paying a second-round pick or a third-round pick for a top 5 overall pick. So you just don't have to use that high draft pick, basically.
Yeah, it's nuts. Don't get me wrong. I love Kyler Murray, and I love what Arizona's doing. They probably didn't screw up with the draft process last year, but what they're doing now is shifting the culture. You hired a young, innovative coach who's going to be calling plays as one of the best offensive play callers in college football over the last couple years, and you're going to let him run the team the way he wants to run it, the way that he's seen success. He's going to make that successful, do what he can to make that successful at the NFL level. They're just buying in to their new culture. And
Kyle's just gushing about Cliff Kingsbury because he finds him the most attractive man in the NFL.
He's the sexiest coach in the NFL, hands down. I mean, I can't lie.
My hands wouldn't be down if we were together, if you know what I'm saying. Let's move on. Just on the outline here, I have any other bullshit Kyle wants to talk about. So
I've ranted enough.
Okay, great. Let's move on to a quick NBA preview, and by NBA I mean MLB. You fucking fools! I'm just trying to see if you're still awake. So the season starts. The season starts tomorrow,
aka today, once this is dropped.
Right, and we just did our fantasy baseball draft, which was scintillating at best. At worst, downright disgusting. So I have a. Here we want to discuss new faces and new places, which should either be a segment on our podcast or a sitcom. I'm not really sure which. But Kyle, why don't you start us off talking about some of the new faces and new places that you think are important for this season?
Not just of importance, but just I don't know. I highly doubt many of our listeners know what baseball is. So
I've never seen a baseball.
We'll stick to the big names. Obviously, you had Bryce Harper sign a record contract with Philadelphia. I mean, we all know what Bryce Harper is. He's been a stud ever since he came into the into the league. It's the type of player that I don't know if you could say will change a franchise just by himself, but like he's a big face to bring a lot
as
of.
far as ticket sales, he probably does.
They sold over 100,000 tickets in 24 hours from the announcement of his signing.
Yeah,
it reminds me of when we announced our first live podcast.
Yeah, the most ticket sales in any sports history in a 24-hour span. That's the type of player they got.
Yeah.
Then you got Manny Machado, who is now in San Diego, who are going all in on a quick rebuild process. Obviously, we all know Manny Machado is an all-star, great player, and they got a ton of young talent. They're one of the best MLB farm systems in baseball, and they got 2 pitchers that are young that are going to be on their opening day roster, and they just announced today that the number 2 or number 1 prospect in MLB, Fernando Tatis Jr. Is going to be starting.
Clean out your mouth, please.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And then our hometown White Sox, baby. They didn't sign anyone big, but they did get Manny Machado's cousin and his best friend to try to get him to come to Chicago. And they told him San Diego's awesome. It'd be a great place to live. And Machado signed in San Diego.
Incredible.
So really, they signed 2 players to get Machado to go elsewhere. On top of that, in good news, they did sign the 3rd best prospect in MLB to a contract finally. So he's good old Eloy Jimenez, who we got from the Cubs in the Jose Quintana trade.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he's going to be starting in the outfield today, opening day. It's going to be exciting. Also, Tatis that I was talking about, he was on the White Sox.
Bed, please.
He was on the White Sox, but we sent him over to San Diego so we can get good old James Shields, one of the worst pitchers in the MLB.
Hey, he was good like 15 years ago, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. There's the rundown, folks.
Thank you. Seth, I heard that maybe the Twins are going to be a little frisky this year.
Yo, the Twins got a nice team this year.
Frisky meaning bad, yes, I agree.
What?
Wholeheartedly.
I think they might contend for the wild card.
It seems like we have like some decent players, but no like star players.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all that I know about the Twins.
Jose Barrios.
Yeah,
star,
solid pitcher. I guess he could be construed as a star.
Eddie Rosario, not a star, but a very good player, like a very underrated MLB player. Byron Buxton has been injured most of his MLB career.
He's a star in the field. No,
Byron Buxton is literally the fastest man in baseball and hasn't been healthy. Yeah. He's gonna. I drafted him today. He's gonna steal 60 bases.
Yeah, for sure. Are you guys still playing Joe Mauer, or is he dead yet?
Joe Mauer.
You killed him, remember?
Who was that other guy, the first baseman that still was playing like
Justin
2 years
Morneau?
ago? Yeah, is he still playing or is he dead as well?
He hasn't been playing for a while.
Okay.
But
so both of them are
deceased.
Supposed
to throw out the opening pitch on the first opening day.
But then he died.
Then you killed him.
Sam, do you know who the Twins do have?
Well,
behind the plate,
the one,
the only. Williams Astudillo.
Okay, this man is my hero, dude. First of all, who names their kid Williams? It's like, is he Williams? Is he Willius? No. Williams, it's a common name. Look it up. Read a Globe for once. Do any of you guys like any sleepers for the World Series? Who do you like for the World Series?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I'll give you one answer. It's the Toronto Blue Jays. I'll tell you why.
Oh my God.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., baby.
Thick boy.
Vlad Guerrero Sr., my all-time favorite baseball player. The Russell Wilson of the MLB. No, I'm just excited for Vladdy Jr. to come up from the minors, hopefully sooner rather than later, because he's on my fantasy team, and that'll be something that'll actually hopefully draw me back to watching baseball, because it's been a while since I've really been into it. So maybe this podcast and our league can get me back.
I used to love, first of all, how Vlad would just bat with no gloves. Second of all, how he would swing at everything, including hitting. He hit several doubles, I remember, off a bounced pitch.
Oh, yeah. He just has a golf swing sometimes.
White Sox games are going to be fun this year, now that we got Eloy.
And the great thing is they pay you to attend White Sox games, so.
I know. Beer and food is basically free.
Yeah, if you know the right people, which I don't. I'm thinking it's just going to be Red Sox or Yankees, right? I mean, why are we fucking around here?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the Yankees. It's not like a sleeper or anything, but their pitching staff, I mean, it's still very good, even though they got Severino is injured right now. He should be back, though, in May. And they have literally the best bullpen maybe that's ever been assembled in MLB history.
Wow.
It's insane.
It is really good.
Plus, you got two players that are going to hit over 50 points.
I love how Boston and New York are really good right now. I kind of like that, you know?
I like it too. The White Sox are going to be up there in the next 2 years.
The Cubs are. I've softened on the Cubs.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Their bullpen, on the other hand, garbage. I do like you, Darvish. He got sniped from me today. I wanted to have you on my team. Not you, but
Darvish. You want to have me on your team. Let's not lie. The NL Central is going to be tough this year, I think, because there's really no like terrible teams, and the top like four are really good. I feel like I could see Milwaukee, St. Louis, or the Cubs winning the division.
Yeah, don't sleep on the Reds.
I actually print out a picture of the Reds roster and use it as a pillow every night.
They did sign Yasiel Puig, which is nice.
Yeah.
Big addition.
What's up with him? Is he fine now? Sometimes they just send him to the minors just to think about what he's done.
That was one year. For some reason, they decided to do that. Puig's going to go crazy this year in that ballpark. It's one of the best hitting environments in baseball. So playing half his games there opposed to L.A., I got him pegged for over 40 home runs.
Jesus. You can't peg in baseball, though. That's
bold predictions. Only kickball.
Right. Before we close this, you guys each want to say your favorite pick from our draft tonight on your fantasy team?
Well, you already know mine. He's the love of my life. He cuddles me to bed every night. He's Big Spoon. His name is Javi Baez. I just love him. First of all, in fantasy, he can be used in like 6 positions, and also in the bedroom as well.
Heyo.
So yeah, that's my favorite.
Beautiful. Some might say Javi Baez is the Marcus Smart of baseball, or vice versa.
You said that before. Wasn't it you who said that?
Yeah, it was me that said that.
I love that. I
just think it's such a great analogy. It's perfect.
He does all the intangibles very well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does the big plays when you need them. Everything.
Yeah.
They are brothers. Seth?
Well, Vladdy Jr. was definitely my favorite pick.
Yeah,
I mentioned him already.
Yeah.
But I also like my top 4 with a nice balance between offense and pitching with Jose Ramirez, Freddie Freeman, Garrett Cole, and Carlos Carrasco. I thought that was nice that I was able to get good pitching at that point and feel good about having 2 aces and then kind of be able to stream most of the rest of my starters.
Yeah. I like the Freddie pick. I waited a long time to get first base because I mean, there's only like really, I feel like 6, maybe 7 top upper echelon first baseman. So I'm taking a shot on the Yankees first baseman, Luke Voit.
Mm-hmm. He was a stud in the playoffs, though. We've lost Kyle.
Yeah, did he freeze on your screen too?
Yeah, he just looks stoned on my screen. Oh, there he's back.
He's back now.
He said, "Where's everyone?" I like to say 2 things. Number one, I somehow ended up with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander for the 2nd straight year. Also, number 2, once again, I waited to take any single outfielder until like the 12th round.
Yeah,
so all my outfielders are
Do you
ass.
take any outfielders who are taken or like married or no?
They're all
What is
married,
the
yes.
Wuhan
I like them to be
Wallabies?
stable. I don't like them to have like a nightlife or anything. I want them home with their wife and kids after games.
Of course.
What's that, Kyle?
So who are you, the Wuhan Wallabies?
You know who I am. Do you see my picture, the cute little wallaby?
Yeah, that is nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I gotta get a nice jackrabbit, huh?
Oh, before we end the podcast, I have big news, guys. I've invented a new phrase. Okay,
Holy
so
shit.
Well, we are all about innovation here.
what is it? Innovation that excites? Isn't that Nissan actually?
Yeah. It was something else though. That wasn't it. It was
We invest in innovation.
Oh, there he is.
invest in innovation.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's the phrase. Ready? Same boat, different paddle. Now, hear me out. So, let's say me and Seth are talking, right? And I'm like, oh man, my back really hurts from bowling. And then Seth is like, oh man, my back really hurts from basketball. Then I'd be like,
Same boat,
different paddle. Am I right, buddy? And then we'd have a good laugh, a guffaw with each other. So I would invest now while it's on the ground floor. Yeah. There's some initial investors, but Also, we've lost Kyle again, so let's just end the podcast.
Does he have a really angry expression on your screen? Because
yeah, you look fucking pissed. All right, well, let's just sign off.
Yeah.
Seth, say what I want you to say.
This has been the podcast that no one asked for, no one needed, and no one deserved. But hopefully you enjoyed it.
And on the third day, he rose.